Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another mental health video because I know you guys love them and I love making them. So in today's video we're going to be talking about therapy. I have had a lot of therapy in my time in mental health, in hospital, in the community. So I thought I would talk you through all the therapies I've had and what was my experience of them, etc. But before I start with all my mamble and jumble and whatever it is, I just want to say a massive thank you to BetterHelp. They are actually going to be sponsoring this video. Now, I've never done a sponsored video before. Obviously, I've been approached by different companies. I've always said no just because I don't like, they'll ask me to do like makeup things, and if I don't like it then I'd just be like no, because it just won't fit in my channel. But this is like a dream to me, like this is incredible. So BetterHelp actually run an online therapy service. I think this is such an incredible concept because I know for me that going to a new person and having to explain my whole life was so daunting and I didn't want to do it, and it actually put me off going to therapy. So what you basically do is you go on it and you like write in what you need. I'll leave a link in the description just so you can go and check it out. And I put stuff like anxiety, depression, you know, stress down. And the best thing is that they literally like cater the professional counsellor to you, which that is so important because finding the right person for therapy is literally so important, and I know that from my past experiences. So when they contacted me, obviously I went through their website and literally was like, what's going on here? Let's check it out. But the best thing I found out is that you literally get unlimited access to your therapist online, which I know for a fact I don't get, even though I have really good therapists right now. It's not unlimited access, so you could literally phone them, chat to them at any time that you needed. You can send them like messages, like that's how you can communicate. You can phone call them, you can do like videos. I will actually leave a link in the description for you to go and check it out. Just, you know, like go and literally check it out because it's a really good idea. Obviously it's not run by the NHS, but if you were looking into private healthcare, I think this would be the best place to start. It's literally so hard to get appointments for therapy, and you can wait like 10 months minimum. Like it's a really long time. So if you are looking into some type of private healthcare, I think this would actually be such a good place to start, as it is really affordable as well. It's not like extortionate like some other therapies that I will go into later. So yeah, basically go check it out because it's like flexible. So if you're working, if you have kids, anything like that, you can go on it at any time of the day. It's not like you have to book an appointment and then travel to the destination. Like you literally have it on your laptop. Genius. So thank you so much to BetterHelp. It's really given me a boost that someone wants to work with me in terms of mental health, because as you guys know, on YouTube it's quite a difficult topic to talk about and not be like shut down. And like I said before, the link will be in the description. So after all that ramble, let me get on into talking about all the therapies I've had. CBT. I had CBT when I was in hospital the first time, so I think I was 17, and I didn't have many sessions of it. Basically it was just with the clinical psychologist in hospital. So if you can't tell, I didn't find CBT very helpful. I just kind of, I don't know, I don't really remember doing it very much, but I think I had about 4 sessions, which isn't a lot, but because the psychologist was in hospital, she was just a bit like, she was nice, but she just spoke about herself all the whole time. The one thing though I do really remember from CBT is just the basis on it. So when she wasn't talking about herself and how she was like a doctorate in something, I just remember like the thought that negative like interpretations of your surroundings reinforce like behavioural aspects and negative behaviour, and then that leads to distorted thinking. So I just never before made that concept of what you think and what you do then becomes your reality, and I think that really did like strike a chord with me because I remember it to this day. So I would say with CBT, it's a great way of changing your thinking patterns. Obviously I didn't have too much of it because of this, you know, doctoring woman. I just don't think it was the right therapy for me. It was very good in terms of my depression. I wouldn't class myself as depressed anymore. I think that was a good way of me realising that by reinforcing my thoughts, it was in turn becoming my reality, and I was becoming what I was thinking because I was thinking it, and it's like a cycle. So I would say if you are struggling with depression, negative thoughts, and like very low self-esteem, so when I was doing CBT, I remember she was saying that I had chronic low self-esteem and it was awful, and I wouldn't speak to people about problems, I wouldn't let anyone compliment me, but at the same time I wouldn't let anyone see me as a flawed person. And I think that kind of concept of the thoughts, etc. really helped me. If you are up for CBT, I would definitely say go all in on it, like just try it out and see what you think about it, because it might really help you. Like, so after CBT, I actually had EMDR therapy. Now this is a very, very, very odd one that you probably haven't heard of. It's EMDR, which stands for eye movement, wait, let me type it. Desensitization and reprocessing. What? So yeah, sounds very complicated, is very complicated. Basically, I had this in the January of 2016. I think I had about 8 sessions of it, because if you see my mental health story, you will know that I actually just spoke my way out of it because I wanted to be discharged from hospital. Don't do that. Not good. Doesn't help anything. This was very hard at like letting all of yourself be vulnerable and let yourself go, basically. What happened was, all I remember, right, okay, was there was this professor guy, like a psychotherapist, lovely guy, loved him, Dr. A, top lad. And then there was another doctor who I saw quite a lot, and he was also very nice, but he would sit and like make notes and not really speak. And then Dr. A would sit and like, he'd tap to the left and the right side of my body, and it in turn would try and mix your brain. But that's like a really small bit of it, because the whole time you have to think about everything he's saying. You have to relive the event in your head, and it's horrible. It's so incredibly tough, and every lesson I would come out and I would sleep for about 3 hours, I would cry. It's like almost exposure, so you're getting really distressed, but in a safe place with people around you. I know that if I would have carried on and done it well and thrown myself into it, it would have worked, because the thing that was causing me to have EMDR just kept coming up and still does to this day. I still haven't, you know, dealt with the problem. I think we used to have like 20 or so rounds where you'd do this thing and then you'd stop and then you'd talk, and you'd have to talk about everything that's going on in your head, what you can smell, what you can do. It was just very, very odd and very, very intense, and I didn't really like it. I felt very uncomfortable, not because of the people that were there, just it's very like you put yourself in a really vulnerable situation, to be honest. And yeah, so I had that for a while, and I just kind of like fobbed it off, really stupidly of me, because it's very hard to get, and I'm very annoyed at myself that I didn't accept the help that I had at the time, but you know, what can you do? So when I left hospital, I actually had no therapy put in place for me. My CPM was really good though. She tried to get me into like mindfulness groups, and I think I went like twice, and I hated it because it was just like, I don't know, there was a lot of older women there and they used to kind of talk down to me, so I'd normally just not go and see my boyfriend at the time, and yeah, I got kicked out eventually. Yay! But I really was not throwing myself into therapies at that time. I really wasn't bothered. I just wanted to eradicate all of my mental health problems just by thinking them away, which doesn't work. I think in like the May last year, I went for a therapy assessment, I think it was, and typical NHS, I actually got the letter saying I was eligible for therapy in February this year, so that was like a good 10 months, and during that time I'd been in hospital like twice. So then I actually got admitted back into the hospital, and this time when I was admitted, I was on a section 3, which is like pretty damn serious. I was on a section 3, which is awful. It gives you almost this weird priority thing. So they wanted me out of hospital, but I was on a section 3, so they were like, no, when you leave, you need to be in this personality disorder therapy, so that's where I went. And it was psychotherapy. So they kind of like made sure that I was suitable. They said I was struggling a lot with like dissociation trauma thing, but my main diagnosis was borderline personality disorder or emotionally unstable. Whichever one you want to choose, but I don't like saying that I'm emotionally unstable because, you know, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag straight away. I'm joking. Anyway, so I went there and I would have psychotherapy twice a week, and it was around this time last year, and I can say for sure that I hated it, and it was probably one of the worst therapies I ever had. I would dissociate so much during sessions, I would self-harm, it would be awful, and I don't think I got anything out of it. So this is just a disclaimer, this is obviously my experience. I know other people who they've gone to town with psychotherapy, they have got it, you know? They work together, it's good. But for me it just didn't work, my brain didn't like it, I didn't like it, and I would literally sit in that session and she would talk to me about really sad things, and I would just sit there and listen and cry, and yeah, I just didn't get anything out of it. It didn't work for me. I would say that I had that for about 3 or 4 months. Brain shut down, queen, drama, sorted, came out. So now we're moving on to this year. So, in March this year, I was discharged from my last inpatient admission. Can I just say, haven't been back since, haven't been to a hospital since, except for when my sister got really drunk and fell over. But for me, haven't done it. So, yeah. That meant that this time when I came out of hospital, they'd actually started a DBT service in Coventry, where I live, which, I mean, they took so long to do it because Pip had been having it for like a year, and she lived in Warwickshire, and they had it in Rugby and Leamington, but they didn't have it in Coventry, which is like the city area, so that's quite odd. I was basically like one of the first people on the list because it had just started and I was just coming out of hospital. It kind of came together, really good time. So yeah, that's when I started DBT, which is dialectical behavioural therapy. Well, I can't speak. It's like the #1 thing to go to if you are struggling with a personality disorder. I think I'm going to actually do a whole video on DBT and what I've learned, because I'm not even joking, it saved my life. It's absolutely saved my life completely. I know that I would be back in hospital if I didn't have it. It teaches you almost how to feel human again and back in control, and I tell you what, it's really, really hard, but it works. So I actually have 3 hours of therapy a week. I have 2 hours on a Monday of group, which is basically where you sit with 2 therapists and there are other people around, and you chat about your week, you chat about what skills you've used, etc. And then on Friday I have 1 hour with my one-to-one therapist, and that's kind of where you talk about more personal things. Do you know what I mean? They're very strict in DBT, which is very refreshing, I think. They don't skirt around, they don't walk on eggshells, they tell you how it is. If you've been slacking, they'll tell you. If you did something wrong, they'll tell you. If you did something great, they'll tell you. It's very good that way. I'm gonna do a whole video about DBT because there are like, I don't know how many sections there are. So there's interpersonal effectiveness skills, there are distress tolerance, emotional regulation, mindfulness. I think that's all of them. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, so that's all the therapies I've had. I didn't mention in here like art therapies or like, you know, other therapies. I just kind of spoke about the ones that are more like, do you know what I mean? They're like concrete. I really hope you enjoyed Mental Health Mondays. I love you all so incredibly much. Like, I feel like I found my place in YouTube, and it's because of all of you guys, and you just support me non-stop, and I adore you. Like, I just love you so much, and I would really, really, really love to meet you. If that was ever an opportunity, oh my gosh. I would love it. And also a massive, massive thank you to BetterHelp. Thank you. Wow, thank you so much for sponsoring me. This is incredible. So yeah, I will see you all in my next video, guys, and I hope you don't mind the fact that this video had a sponsored part in it. I will always tell you if it's sponsored, and I will never do one that I don't fully think will fit my channel or is just really out of place. So yeah, I love you all, and I shall see you soon. Bye!